let's continue on with our comic book readings. And what we're going to do in this video is go to the 1950s, go to 1958, and read a story from this anthology, Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds, published by Charlton Publications, Charlton Comics. And this is issue number 8, and the story that we're going to read from this is the artwork anyway is done by Steve Ditko, and it was written most likely by Gill. Joe Gill being considered to be one of the most prolific comic book writers in history, where he did most of his work for Charlton Publications, Charlton Comics. And as far as Steve Ditko is concerned, in a previous video we've already taken a look at one of Steve Ditko's works, which is Strange Tales number 115, where we took a look at the origin of Doctor Strange. We basically took a read through this, flipped through the Human Torch storyline, and read the backup story to this, which was the origin of Doctor Strange. And Steve Ditko is credited by for creating Doctor Strange, and he's been the creator or co-creator of multiple other characters from that period and forward. I believe into the 1970s he was still putting out original characters, and he's credited by creating co-created Spider-Man. He's created Doctor Strange, the Creeper, the Question. I believe he had a hand to play in Shade, the Changing Man. So he's a giant in the industry. So we're going to read that story, okay? And we're going to flip through this book and take a look at some of the other pieces in here and some of the other artists that contributed to this piece. From what I could find, some of the other artists that contributed to this comic were Gene Colan and Bill Molyneux, and I think a couple of other ones as well. It's hard to dig up the creators for some of these older comics, Golden Age and early Silver Age, because they didn't all sign their work. So it's hard to know who actually produced some of these pieces. And the cover for this is, if you can take a look at this, it's signed Mastroserio, and I believe he did I'm really bad at pronouncing names, and I believe he did the cover for a lot of Charlton Comics, and it's a beautiful cover, like absolutely magnificent. The sci-fi coming out from that period was absolutely amazing. As we took a look at when we read some of the EC, the two of the EC annuals that we did a reading for in a previous session, and the science fiction stories that were being produced during that period were absolutely magnificent. So let's crack this open. Let's take a look at this. And this comic is, I believe, it's the first comic that we took a look at, or I showed you in the video I put out, where for over an hour we were looking at some of the books in my comic collection, and I believe this is the first book that I pulled out and I shared. So it's fun going back and reading this. I believe I flipped through this in the past, but I don't remember the storylines from this, if I read them. And I believe when I said, when I showed you this comic, I said that the cover was detached in that video, but the cover is actually not detached in this. The cover is still intact. It is torn, as you can tell, right? But it's still, there, fairly firm. So That's pretty sweet to see. And this thing is it's in pretty good shape, right? It's got the, you know, the tear there. So as far as grade goes, this would be in the mid-range. You know, maybe a 5. I'm not sure how the full grading works for this. Take a look at this, but it's very nicely attached. But I believe there's a loose page in this. So the loose pages in comics, you know, they do bring the grade down a notch or two. But it's, you know, it's intact, the story. And let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the fine print and read this. Read the fine print down here. Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds, Volume 1, Number 8, June 1958. Okay, published quarterly by Charlton Comics. Quarterly. I thought it was bi-monthly. Executive offices and office of publication, Charlton Building, Derby, Connecticut, second class mail, privileged, price per copy 10 cents, 12 issues $1.20. Let's see, comic Pat Masuli, executive editor. This magazine has been produced and sold subject to the restrictions that it shall only be resold at retail as published and at full cover price. It is a violation of these stipulations for this magazine to be offered for sale by any vendor in a mutilated condition or at less than full cover price. That's printed in the United States. I've never actually seen this part written in any of the fine print that I read for comics, so it's interesting seeing this. And one thing about Charlton Publications, I believe these guys didn't just publish comic books, they actually printed all of their comic books. They did everything in-house from what I understand. And the distribution, I believe they even took care of the distribution themselves. And Charlton Publications, they started off in it was a different name earlier on, but it became Charlton Publications in 1944, and they were still publishing comics up to 1986 or so. So they were around for a long time, and you know, some giants worked for them. And take a look at the advertisement page. Boys, girls, men, women, boy and girl scouts, campfire girls, newsboys, prizes given, make money. So again, it's one of those money-making schemes or jobs for anyone that wanted to make a little extra money buying these things, I guess. $1,000 in extra prizes. Okay, let's take a look at the comic. Now, this is the piece that we're going to look at, or we're going to read, and it's signed, if you can see it here, Ditko, right? So the artwork is by Steve Ditko, and he's brilliant. And the story is not signed, but from what I understand, Joe Gill wrote this, as he did many of Charlton comics. Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds, Drift in Space. Okay, we'll come back to this. Let's just flip through it. Beautiful artwork, beautiful coloring. I love the coloring for, you know, some of the Golden Age, Silver Age books. And the perspectives, and especially science fiction. So it ends. It's a really quick read, so we might end up reading a couple of other stories in this. Now, this is just a 2-page storyline. Ends, right? Actually, should we read this one? It's a two-pager, so let's have a read through this before we go to Steve Ditko's piece, right? Or Joe Gill written. Mystery of Unexplored Worlds. Let's take a look at this. Eyes of a cat. Can cats really see in the dark? She asks. So they say, dear. Do you think our cat can see in the dark? Yes, I do. What do they see? They see in the dark what we see in the light, he says. How do you know what they see, Daddy? I don't know, sigh. It's presumed they see very well in the dark. Say, why don't you go and play in the other room? He's getting rid of the kid. Come on, kitty. Let's go in the cellar in the dark. Ooh. When we get down, I'll turn out the light and let you see in the dark, kitty. I'll put you down. Can you see in the dark, kitty? Oh, look at the cats freaking out. That's trippy. Look, a being in their dimension sees us, I believe. Fear not. It is a lonely animal they call cat. Humans would harm us if they saw us, but not cats. Cat freaked out, takes off. Going up so soon, kitty? You know what, Daddy? Kitty acts scared of being in the basement. Kitty always seemed scared of being down there. Cute little story. "100 toy soldiers." These advertisements were running for a long time. Up to the 1970s, early 80s, I've seen these in comic books. Always wanted to get these. $1.25. Wow. Made of durable plastic, each on its own base, measuring up to 4.5 inches. Packed in this footlocker. Man, I remember this. When I was a kid, I used to want this so much. I would look at this up, check this out. They tell you what you get: 4 tanks, 4 jeeps, 4 battleships, 4 cruisers, 4 sailors, 8 jet planes, 4 bazooka men. Rush the toys to me. I wonder how many of these are sold. And again, a muscle. Oh, this is the page that's detached. A muscle building advertisement. Right. So this page is detached, but the story's still there. Yeah, sweet. Let's take a look. Let's put this down. I should go through and take a look at this. The pages have folded over, right? That's okay. We'll leave it alone. So another story. I'm not sure who did the Good Provider. Interesting facial expressions, eh? done. I could use some work saving things though. I wish I had a good vacuum cleaner. And they lived happily ever after. I guess it's a good story. Happy story. Elixir. Yeah, none of these ones are signed. Looks like Steve Ditko is the only one that ended up signing the piece that he did. And again, this is a 2-pager. Should we read this 2-pager? Let's read this 2-pager too. Why not? Since we got it open. Elixir. Let's check it out. I certainly get a lot of pill samples from pharmaceutical houses. Antihistamines, cough lozenges, everything that's supposed to help everything. Here's an odd one. Just one little red pill. No name of sender. Just says Omnicure. She's holding up the pill. Omnicure. That's a hot one. It's just another name for cure all. I'll bet my old college roommate, Dr. Bruce Billman, sent that. He's full of pranks. In that case, you better not try it. Haha. What'll I do with it? Burn it in the incinerator with these old office papers. I've no time, no jokes. I've no time, no jokes. That's a weird sentence. I've no time, no jokes. Should be 4 jokes, I think. Let's check it out. Be sure you burn everything in there. Don't want any child to find those pills. Yes, doctor. I would forget the matches. She put the stuff in there. The bird flies in, grabs the pill, eats it. That says a lot about us, eh? The plastics. Birds singing. Now there's a happy bird. Guess he doesn't know what it is to be sick. I wonder if the pill worked, or is just showing that something's gonna happen to the bird. And that's it. Quick little story. Full development. Conversations. Other than this loose page here, the comic is in pretty good shape. Too bad about this page. Stick it back in. This one seems pretty intense. I gave him a sedative. What did he say? Stop it, stop it. Stop thinking, all of you. Words. I gave him a sedative. We're reading the punchline. That's okay. His telepathic ability became a case of full development. He received all thoughts of people at once. Yes, men can never fully develop telepathy. If they do, they can't have the power to do selective tuning in. Professor Xavier would disagree. advertisement page. What's this one? Identify even the strangest stamps at a glance. A world map, 2 stamp finders, encyclopedia of stamp issuing countries. Also free, 30 much wanted foreign stamps. I'm not sure how many kids now have stamp collections, but I know I did. I still do have my stamp collection from when I was a kid. I'll pull that out one day and show you some of those stamps. What's this one? The half men, 3 men, 3 half men with nothing to live for, nothing to die for, empty shells, brilliant men, outcasts of life, who somehow found each other and worked together. This is their story, a strange and wonderful story. Really. What are they doing? So they have a sub. So these are the 3 men, I guess, eh? Boom, boom, boom. Kathy, I loved you so. Why doesn't the pain stop? Just for a little while. So I guess each one has their own issues, right? Get together, hop on a submarine. Rotaries, blades. I guess they're digging into the ocean floor, right? Where are they? Heavier vibrations were coming to the rock. Caleb switching the alloy blades to cut the rock. So they're just cutting rock. Strange. For the first time in many years, I feel almost content. I know what you mean. I do. The ship cut ever deeper towards the core of this earth. Oh wow, they're actually going into the core of the earth. Could we back out if we become stuck? I doubt it. Good. This is like there's a movie that came out called Core. It was a sort of B movie. I liked it though. And the story is Earth's magnetic field is stopping. So it's going to destroy the Earth. So they go into the Earth to get the core kick-started again. Interesting. Crash. What happened? We bored through the shell of the sea's floor and into another world. This is sort of a theme that sci-fi has, but I'm not sure if this is original or this is copied. Journey to the center of the earth. I'm pretty sure that predates this. Look at the people that they encounter. Look at the world in the center of the earth, or below the crust, I guess, below the seafloor. I guess I find a happy place, eh? Dave turned to his 2 friends, and through tears of happiness, he saw Kales, tall and strong, and the professor with his piercing, living eyes. They walked toward the city, the sorcerers and the 3 whole men. Initially, at the beginning, they were half men, right? So now they're whole men after going through this journey. He sees Martha. Martha was the wife. Let's take a look at the beginning. What was he saying? Kathy, Kathy, I love you. Oh, it's Kathy, not Martha. Interesting. But that was a different guy. Anyway, looks like a happy ending, right? We want to read Steve Ditko. Learn radio, television, service, or communication by practicing at home in spare time. So we've seen this kind of ad before, right? Television repair, television radio repair, and more muscle. So let's go to the beginning and read Steve Ditko's the first story arc. Okay, let's take a look at this. Adrift in space. Let's see. Loneliness for Earth. Fear and restlessness. Loneliness for Earth, fear and restlessness have plagued all spaceship commanders ever since Earthlings first embarked upon extensive space patrols, and sometimes the pressure erupts into the gravest problem of any commander: mutiny. Oh man, I think they kicked him off the spaceship. You're making a terrible mistake. What mistake? We're doing you a favor, Captain. You love cruising in space so much. We're just giving you all of space and the rest of eternity to cruise around it. For years, I had been afraid of this, and now it had happened. They've mutinied and thrown me into space. I'll drift forever. It was ended now, the long year of painstaking, lonely patrolling that had started so simply. If only General Larson hadn't called me in the morning so long ago. So he's still drifting. So it's a flashback. Let's take a look. It seemed wonderful then that I was chosen Captain Cruz. We have a special mission that will take you away from Earth for many years. Can you get the proper crew for such a mission? I have just the men, General Larson. What is the mission, sir? This area of outer space is still uncharted. Your mission is to sweep the whole area, chart the planets which we know exist but cannot locate, and learn all about them. It might be better not to tell your men the length of the cruise. I think you're right, sir. We'll take off as soon as the ship is in order. They're not going to tell them how long they're going to go for. Yikes. The ship was ready in a few days. Blast off, navigator. Set course for outer space perimeter at vector 630. Aye, aye, sir. Vector 630. Outer space perimeter. So they're just following orders. Let's take a look. There were many adventurers to spice the loneliness of the patrols. Seems empty here. Ugly too. Ugly, that looks pretty. That's the same story we found in most of these forsaken places. But this one wasn't empty. Suddenly, back in the ship, there's a giant coming their way. We barely scrambled back in time, blast off and hung on to Jim. Oh, the guy's hanging right there. Take a look. See him? We had to be constantly on the alert from dangers, not only on the outside, but sometimes within our own ranks. This time it was space sickness that struck so suddenly. Let's check it out. Captain, something's wrong. We're going to crash into those meteors. Full astern, all blasters of tubes. What's the matter with you, helmsman? I passed out. Go to your bunk. So he's got space sickness. When I reported mission accomplished, I was surprised by the reply. Extend patrol indefinitely. Earth becoming uninhabitable through ice cap formation. Will inform when and where you should report. Better not tell the crew and simply give orders to sweep a new sector. So I told no one and issued new orders. Map a course through that area. We'll spend a few years there. A few years. But, Captain, we were supposed to go home after reaching here. We'll go home when I give the order. Hey, I'm getting old on this cruise. He's no planet hunter, he's a glory hunter. It's time we set him straight. Here's where the mutiny begins. Let's take a look at this. The years passed and I still couldn't bring myself to tell them. Wow, they've been in space for years. Oh, they got white hair. Look at this. He had black hair here. Right. So a long time has passed. He's got white hair now. I say we've got to set him adrift, then go home and say he was lost when his gravity belt failed while he was on a planet. It's getting serious. I'll have to tell them the truth. Better make some notes on the easiest way to tell them. But it was more serious than I thought. What's going on? What are you doing here? You're going, Captain, unless you turn this ship right now and head for home. The mutiny. Stop that. That's mutiny. Let go immediately. Okay, so it's mutiny. Now climb into these or we'll shove you out without them. You're going to set me adrift out here? I can't possibly glide into an inhabited planet. I tried to tell them, but they were beyond listening. Okay, he's out. Let's go home now. dump them. I'm beyond hope now, with that meteor pack heading right for me. But suddenly, who shelled that meteor? We'll be right there, Captain. Oh, they're back. Sure glad we got here in time, sir. So am I. But what made you change your minds? We found your notes, sir. Then you know now why we can't go home. Why I couldn't bear to break the bad news. You were wrong not to tell us, sir. That would have been hard to swallow, but after all, home is where our families are. Let's forget the whole thing. Cruising stations all. Set course for planet Earth. We're going home. So they're now going home. The end. Looks like a lot of the stories there are happy ending stories. Right? Very different than what EC Comics was putting out with sci-fi. A lot of the stories from EC Comics, there weren't happy endings like this. Right? There were more horror-based comics. But beautiful artwork, yeah? Fantastic artwork. I really love the style from the Golden Age, early Silver Age. And Steve Ditko's work is absolutely brilliant. And an amazing cover. Wow. This is looks like this is the cover for the one with the submarine where they went to the center of the earth, right? Beautiful. So this is number 8, 1958. Mysteries of Unexplored Worlds. Nice little comic. Let's set the page in a little bit tighter so it doesn't get damaged any more than it is. Let's push it in. Nice gentle reads, these ones in this issue, right? Not as heavy as some of the other stuff we've read. Happy endings. Happy endings are good, I guess. That's it for now. I'll see you guys in the next video.